Halloween, that fall holiday best known for its costumes, jack-o'-lanterns, witches and candy. It's a huge part of our mainstream modern-day culture. But just where did these strange traditions stem from? What is the significance of the carved pumpkin, scary costumes and giving of candy?
Halloween originated from Samhain, or it's spelled Samhain. It was a Celtic holiday where the Celts celebrated the dead, and Samhain is basically it's the time of year where the veil is the thinnest between both of our worlds, between the dead and the living. So it's believed, it was believed by the Celtics and believed by pagans alike that we could communicate with our loved ones that passed, and that the dead walks with us on this night. All Saints' Day originated from Samhain, which is also the Christian version of celebrating the dead, but they don't celebrate it the same way we do, or the same way the Celts did. In the 20th century, they believed that was when all the controversy about witches and paganism being wrong, and that's when Christianity started to gain more of its popularity. So All Saints' Day and Samhain is often a controversial subject, but Samhain was the origin of Halloween. The Celts celebrated it not too different than Wiccans and pagans nowadays, neo-Wiccans, neo-pagans, or whatever do. They held bonfires, they built altars with apples and pumpkins and nuts and whatever else, and they tried to communicate with their loved ones that passed, and not just their loved ones, but fairies, ghosts, whatever else. They celebrated it pretty similar to what we did. That's how us pagans have adapted it from the Celtic ways. So in the modern day, pagans and Wiccans alike, we celebrate Samhain by building altars to honor, our loved ones that pass. We'll make a great feast. It's not very different from Americanized Thanksgiving or Christmas. You know what I mean? It's like about fellowship and being with your family. The only difference is, I think, would be that we do ritual, which is we say it's kind of like a prayer. Like to modernize it or make it more understanding. It's kind of like a prayer or ritual. It's a very thought out, written thing where we try to communicate with our loved ones that passed. In the rituals, we'll cast a circle to protect us from anything evil, and then in that circle, nothing evil can touch us, and we try to communicate with the ones that passed. And we also do random bits of activities to try to honor their lives too. Like when we have our feast, when we have our dinner, like if you had Thanksgiving dinner, we leave an extra plate at the table so our ancestors can eat, so our friends and our loved ones that passed can eat. I mean, of course, obviously they're not going to eat, because they passed on, but it's the energy we put into it. It welcomes them to dinner. It welcomes them to come and feast with us and be with us so we can feel their energy again.
Most definitely. It's simplified now. It's kids get candy, wear a costume, and they forget all of the background to it.
Modern paganism, it's not really strictly any type of meals. I imagine in the past they used the meals of the season. So like the meals of our season now, like in the fall would be like pumpkin, squash, turkey, fruits, nuts, veggies, things like that. I mean, it's not too strict, but I like to incorporate pumpkin and, winter and fall foods into the Samhain dinners.
So just how did this festival of homage for the dead become what it is today? I think they took bits and pieces of it, candy, festival, love, happiness, and honoring the dead, and just made it into, it's strictly for children to get candy instead of, everyone participates and celebrates equally?
Usually, in my rituals and in pagan rituals, we try to use something that signifies the elements, because when you do ritual and you cast a circle, you call down every element. You call down earth, fire, water, air. You call down. Sometimes you can channel certain gods and goddesses and call them down. So, items you use is basically for that. For Samhain in particular, we use certain color candles. We'll make ancestor candles, as we call them, where we get candles and put oils and herbs in them and, bless them, as like if you would bless water from Catholicism. We bless them by making our own little prayers over it. We call it consecration. And we use that in our ritual. And that helps, it helps us attain what we want to attain. It helps us call down, our ancestors, basically. And when I say ancestors, I mean our loved ones, our furry friends, our ancestors. I like to, in Samhain, I like to call down witches who are innocently burned in, like, the Salem witch trials and things like that. You can call down gods and goddesses for your rituals, and sometimes it's appropriate to call down certain goddesses for certain types of rituals and certain types of holidays. Like for Samhain, you can call down Hecate, which is she is basically like the goddess that aligns with the seasons changing and things dying. So she'd be an ideal thing. Or Freya, which is I believe a Norse goddess who is married to Odin, who is a god. You can resonate with certain gods and goddesses, and that can help you intensify the energy and what you're trying to accomplish. So nowadays in Halloween, we put out jack-o'-lanterns and we dress up for fun and stuff like that, but that actually had significant meaning in the day. People would actually, it's believed in Samhain that not just your ancestors and the people you love come back from the dead. It's literally the veil is so thin, everything is meant to walk the earth. So, demons and ghosts and negative spirits and everything is here. So back in the day, they would dress up in ghoulish costumes and scary things so that they could blend in with all of them there, and they wouldn't be, taken or harmed or anything like that. It was disguised for protection. As jack-o'-lanterns go, you would carve a pumpkin to a jack-o'-lantern, and you would bless a candle and put the candle in the jack-o'-lantern, and it was meant to call your ancestors home, so the spirits that you're trying to channel would know where to go. So the jack-o'-lanterns was basically a beacon of light to call the spirit to your home and welcome them in, just as much as the food and everything else. It's a token of welcoming who you want into your home. Candy was meant as an offering to, the ghouls and the demons and stuff like that, so that way that they would leave you alone. Well, I think witches are only represented on Halloween, and that we are, in a way, kind of treated like a joke. People don't get that this is our way of life, and it's not just Halloween that we celebrate. We have, Yule, which is like our Christmas, and we have Beltane, which is in the spring. We have all different types of holidays, and this is like our, it's like church for us. This is our religion. So I feel a lot of the time witches aren't taken seriously. Paganism and Wicca alike is not taken seriously as a serious religion. It's taken, and especially on Halloween, we're treated as a joke because people will dress up in costumes for fun, which is fine, of course, but no one really understands the significance behind the costume that they're wearing. No one understands what the witch's hat means. No one understands what the broom is, the besom, the broom is meant for. But we're so commercialized in society as a joke of some sort of evil, ugly creature, when really we're not. We're just everyday people, and we're still here. There are still many of us who celebrate paganism, and paganism is about nature. It's not about evil or summoning the dead. That is just one holiday, where we try to communicate with the dead. We're about nature and the sky and you know, animals and, you know, energy. We're not about Halloween. Witches are basically just a bunch of hippies, I think. We're a bunch of tree huggers. We love herbs and nature and being under, you know, the sun and being under the moon and all of those things. I think if you want to generalize witches in any type of place, don't do it on Halloween when we're evil, ugly creatures that try to summon the dead. Think of us as some sort of tree-hugging hippies, because that's really all we are. But, you know, clean hippies.